Bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. Pat Riley just held a 43-minute postseason press conference, and he covered everything. He came out and laid out the law for not only his feelings, but how the Miami Heat are going to be handled going forward, discussing things like Jimmy Butler, his comments made earlier in the week about winning series that he wasn't involved in, his contract extension, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and a plentiful of things more. We'll break everything down on this episode of Heat Digest, and we're going to get to it right now, as there are so many great quotes. There's so many great things that Pat Riley came out and said, and it is just a joy to be a Miami Heat fan and know that Pat Riley is at the helm of everything going on in this organization. And the first thing we're going to start with is the good stuff. As you guys all know, if you guys haven't been on social media, that's the only way you haven't seen this yet, because it has gone super viral as Pat Riley came out and he had a very select choice of words for Jimmy Butler. This is from Kevin O'Connor on Twitter. Kevin O'Connor NBA is the handle, saying this: Pat Riley on Jimmy Butler, and I quote, "If you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut." Now, this is all in reference to Jimmy Butler's comments made 2 days ago, which we covered on not the last episode of Heat Digest, but the one before that, 2 episodes ago, where Jimmy Butler said, hypothetically, if he was healthy, he would have sent New York's ass home, and if he was healthy, he would have sent Boston home as well. Now, if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it, or even just look up Jimmy Butler's comments. It's all over social media. It took over. It went super viral because the NBA Twitter, NBA world really just ran with it and was kind of just like, they were questioning Jimmy. Some people were praising Jimmy. And overall, Pat Riley had his feelings of his own. I have the clip here from his exact quote from the press conference. I'm going to play now. Let me know what your feelings are about his choice of words in the comments down below.
For him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut in your criticism of those teams.
It really feels like the Godfather's talking to you, doesn't it? He just gives off that aura. Entirely he does. Like, whether you love him, whether you hate him, he comes off as so cold-blooded, so calm, so, not manipulative, but, just so methodical, if you will. I don't know. It's just a feeling I get from him. It's an aura, to say the least. He always looks like the Godfather. He only owns one outfit in his entire house: black blazer, white button down, and that is it. Maybe a tie if you're lucky, if he wants to show a little bit of emotion. That's really it. But again, those were his exact quotes. That was the exact quote from this press conference today that he held discussing Jimmy Butler. Now, don't freak out. Don't think that Jimmy Butler's on the first plane out of here and he's going back to Philly or wherever else, and Pat Riley's on the phone with some team looking to get rid of Jimmy. That's not the case. As quickly after that quote, we got a bunch of different quotes from Pat Riley addressing the complete opposite. This is from Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter. Get used to seeing him, because we're going to see him at least 3 more times, not only in this video. We're going to see him a plentiful amount of times going forward, not only in this offseason, but going into next season, as he's a great person who covers not only the game of the game of basketball, but the Miami Heat specifically, saying, Pat Riley, and I quote, "We have to change some things, but we surely aren't going to rip anything apart here," end of quote from Pat Riley, obviously. And then it doesn't end there. Pat Riley on if the non-Butler and Bam assets can't get the player they want, do they have to think about trading Jimmy? The quote, no. From, again, Pat Riley. Obviously, he just came out, and I can't really think of any other way to say it. He came out and just laid down the law. Now, obviously, his choice of words, I should say, was a bit different, if you will. He was very blunt. He was very to the point, and it seems like he's just not going to take any bullshit. And those are his opinions, and that's what you're going to get, because he's the majority owner of this team, and he still runs really the majority of the team. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra's the head coach, but Pat Riley has been in this game of basketball for a long time. Obviously, he was a head coach before. He then became an owner, and he's been in the game of basketball since the dinosaurs were walking around. This guy has been around the game forever. And again, my feelings on his comments, I don't think he was too harsh. I don't think he was irrational. I think he was really accurate. Yes, obviously, it's great to think if Jimmy Butler played, we would have beat the Celtics. If Butler wouldn't have got hurt in the Philly game, we beat Philly. We go on to play New York in the first round rather than Boston. We beat Boston if Jimmy's healthy. It's all fun and games to think that. But again, that's not what happened. So we have to deal with the reality. We can't live in that alternate universe where we just assume that if this happened, that would have... Draw the line. Because you're just going to keep falling down an imaginary rabbit hole that never ends, and you're going to live in a world of epiphanies and things that just aren't reality. And that's never going to actually get you championships. And I feel like that's where Pat is. And just cut the bullshit. It ended this way because of this. The availability was the biggest conversation. Now, and it didn't just stop at Jimmy, as we'll get to Tyler Hero in just a second. Again, Brady Hawk, once again, thank you for the great tweet saying, Pat Riley on Jimmy Butler playing more games in the regular season. Going on to say, and I quote, that was discussed prior to last season. We had a discussion with his agent about that, end of quote. Again, Pat Riley discussing Jimmy Butler and his lack of availability for not only this season, but the season prior for this Miami Heat team. I will say quickly before I get into everything else, I should have opened with this, but the overall morale, the overall gist of this press conference, the overall story from the biggest takeaway, I should say, from Pat Riley over this press conference was the best ability is availability. And that is, I just got done just ranting about that exact quote in the Tyler Hero video we got out just before this one. If you haven't seen that, go check it out, as he's taking a bunch of heat, and that came before the Pat Riley press conference. But again, availability is the best ability. And it's seriously, that was the biggest takeaway out of everything said. Obviously, he had hot quotes after that. The biggest takeaway, if you're not available, you're not really an asset. Because if you're, we're paying you. You're getting paid really well. You're a basketball player. But if you're not active, and I'm not specifically speaking about Jimmy Butler, it's everyone. It's not just the Miami Heat. It's every team in the NBA. Like, Philly's a good team. But when Embiid doesn't play because he's not available due to health, they're not a good team. They're a good team. They're not a great team. They're not a championship team. And that's the same way with the Miami Heat. It's just a small example, but again, just another example. And it didn't end there, as Tyler Hero, once again, another unavailable player for the Miami Heat. Going on, again, Brady Hawk, thank you. Pat Riley asked about Tyler Hero's season. And I quote, he went on to say these quotes, saying, what did he play? 40 games? He's been fragile a little bit. He might have to go to another level nutritionally. He's going to have to make some adjustments, definitely. Says there isn't anybody that works harder on his game. That last one was not a quote from Eric Spoelstra. The first four were. That was just Brady Hawk mentioning that. Paraphrasing, if you will, what Pat Riley went on to say after the quotes. But again, Pat Riley not missing really anyone here. Everyone's catching it. Jimmy Butler, but he mentioned Bam Adebayo and whether or not, obviously, he would be moved. That's not happening. Same with Jimmy Butler. And then Tyler Hero. Yes, has he been fragile? To say the least. Yes, he's been fragile on the basketball court. Obviously, he just played 42 games this past season. And again, his production really overall was not great, especially in those playoffs when we needed him absolutely most. And again, would I go to say and make the argument that Tyler Hero's not just fragile physically, but also mentally? We've seen him on Twitter liking tweets, if you will, commenting on other tweets, calling bullshit, if you will. I feel like it's more than just physically that he is fragile. Again, I feel like he's a great player, obviously. I just don't know how well he's going to fit in on this Miami Heat team. But I have faith in not only Eric Spoelstra, but obviously the Godfather, Pat Riley, to make the correct decisions going forward and really putting this team together as it's needed to. But again, it's not over there, as we have a few other things to discuss. I will say this, he did praise Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic, saying this, and I quote, they're two great pieces for us, end of quote, on Jaime, and I quote, and he plays, and he would have played 82 games. He's a proud young warrior that will play every night for you. Now, this is exactly what we needed to hear from Pat Riley, young player in Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Jovic that really played really well this season for the Miami Heat. I will say it seems like Pat Riley really does enjoy these rookies. Obviously, they're young. They can be cornerstones going forward for this Miami Heat team. I really can't wait to see how that plays out. I will close out this video with saying, do not think that Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are not on the same page. That is not the case. They are very much on the same page, and despite those comments from Pat Riley about Jimmy Butler, this was then said. The full comment we'll get to in just a second, but again, Emo Jimmy, Wheeler Jalen on Twitter, Jimmy Butler's agent on Pat Riley's comments today, and I quote, "Look, they're cut from the same cloth," end of quote. And he went on to say this: "Conversations will be had, but those conversations are how do we take the next steps forward and win a championship," end of quote. And the full quote, if you will, this is from the Heat beat from the Sun Sentinel on the Sun Sentinel. Again, Wheeler Jalen, Emo Jimmy on Twitter, posted the screenshot saying full comment. And I quote, "Through it all, Lee said Butler remains committed to the Heat and South Florida, saying once he got to this organization, he got to an organization that wholeheartedly has embraced him in every single way." Lee said, "Look, they're both cut from the same cloth. There's going to be honest conversations that have to be had this summer and about how to move forward, but those conversations aren't going to be driven by anything other than I quote, how do we do this to move forward, to take the next step and win a championship?" Exactly what we wanted to hear from not only Jimmy Butler, but the man representing him in his agent. It's what we needed to hear. I don't think Pat Riley was too aggressive. I don't think he was too mean, if you want to be elementary about it. I think he was very explicit. He was very blunt. He got his point across like he absolutely had to. Again, if he didn't come out and be didn't address it as explicitly as he did, I think we'd be questioning Pat Riley's character. I really do. And it might have not happened this fast, but I think it definitely would have came about when the Miami Heats were halfway through the offseason, or we're getting closer to the next season starting, about 2/3 of the way through the offseason, when things are ramping up and we still have Butler on the team, and it hasn't really been addressed about the comments he made, but he really discussed everything else, that being Pat Riley, obviously. Again, I really think he did a great job. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I genuinely would love to know if you guys think Pat Riley was too tough, too stern, if you guys think it was appropriate, or if he wasn't hard enough on Jimmy Butler. But again, that was really the biggest breakdown for the entire press conference from Pat Riley on this Miami Heat team. Obviously, like I said, he did it in 43 minutes. He walked in there and he just started dropping bomb after bomb after bomb, and it's what we needed. He came out and he really set the tone. He laid down the law for this Miami Heat team, and I think we're going in the right direction, especially with him at the helm and running things with the mind he still has in this game of basketball. But again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.